Janice, can you please start the YouTube?
Yes, we are live on YouTube.
Good morning, everybody. The meeting of the Windward Planning Commission will now come to order. It is Thursday, April 6th. The time is now 9:02 a.m. This meeting is being streamed live on YouTube. I will introduce our commissioners today. I have Vice Chair Luis Daniele III.
Good morning.
Commissioner Baylog is on her way, but we have Commissioner John Cross.
Good morning.
Commissioner Wayne DeLuz.
Morning, Chair.
And the commission welcomes a new commissioner from the Puna District, Chantel Perrin.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome. And I am Chair Dennis Lin. We have quorum to hold this meeting. Introducing the Office of the Corporation Counsel, we have Deputy Corporation Counsel Sinclair Salas Ferguson, attorney for the commission.
Good morning, everyone.
Deputy Corporation Counsel Jean Campbell, attorney for the Planning Department. Representing the Planning Department, we have Deputy Planning Director Jeffrey Darrow.
Good morning.
And walking in, we have Planning Director Zendel Kern. Introduction of staff, we have Planning Program Manager Maya Jackson. Planner Jessica Andrews. Planner Alex Roy. Planner Christian Kay. Commission Secretary Melissa Dakayanan Salvador. And Janice Hata as the Zoom host. Just quick housekeeping, please make sure your cell phones are turned off or put on silent mode. If there is anyone here who would like to testify, please fill out the yellow sign-up form on the back table and give it to our staff. Also, if you have any written testimony that has not been sent in earlier, you may submit it now. Thank you. To all of us who are attending here in person, please press the button on your microphone and turn it on when you speak and mute it again when you are done. The light will turn red to notify you that the mic is on. And please remember to speak directly in the mic so that you can be recorded. So I'll move on to the approval of the minutes. The February 2nd minutes were sent out. Are there any corrections to those minutes? If not, may I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Moved by Commissioner Cross and seconded by Vice Chair Daniele. So the February, discussion? No discussion. All in favor of the February 2nd minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved. Right now, I will take a quick recess because we did receive some testimony within the last 24 hours or so. So we would like to take a quick recess for the commissioners to be able to review that testimony. So we'll take what about 10 minutes? Okay, recess.
The background? No. No, I didn't.
It's on the laptop. 4 is 40 pages.
Okay.
Email. This was asking you if they you're supposed to drop off.
No.
Yeah. So just
And Commission back to order. We'll first start with statements from the public on any agenda items. As stated in the published agenda, new members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called to order. If there is anyone here who would like to testify, please fill out the form in the back and give it to our staff. Also, if you have any written testimony that has not been sent in earlier, you may submit it now. I will first start with the Zoom. Janice, do we have any testifiers on Zoom?
Yes, we do. We have 3 people registered to testify on Zoom, but I don't think one of them has showed up yet.
Okay. Okay, finally, before we start, to receive public testimony pursuant to Rule 1-5 of the Planning Commission's Rules of Practice and Procedure, I would like to remind everyone to be courteous and respectful to all testifiers, staff members, and commissioners. Please direct all testimony to me as the chair. Okay. So going on to in-person testifiers, is there any in-person testifiers who would like to testify now? Okay. Okay, I have the first one is Corey Harden. Okay, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes,
Okay, please press the microphone button and speak directly and clearly into the microphone. And begin your testimony by stating your name and the town you reside in. And you have 3 minutes.
okay. Yeah, good morning, commissioners. I want to thank you for your volunteer service. Corey Harden for Sierra Club Hawaii Island Group. I live in Hilo. I'm talking about item 2, the Ola Brew project. And there are many positives to the project, but there's 2 inconvenient truths. One is that seawalls don't stop erosion. They only deflect it to other shoreline areas. And they don't last because of climate change with rising seas and more severe storms. And the second truth is that one corner of the main building is only about 60 feet from the cliff edge, but the Hamakua coast is slowly crumbling into the ocean. Everyone knows about the house falling into the ocean at Honolulu. I also know of a house that's just past the Singing Bridge and the shoreline is coming in to get it. And I grew up in a house 3 miles down the coast. We were right on the cliffside with tall hollow trees. And in my lifetime, I've been told all those hollow trees fell off the edge. So when the seawall starts failing or the cliff starts crumbling closer to the building, the unfortunate landowner may come back to the commission seeking permission for repairs. And unfortunately, some developers have been known to get a permit that's kind of questionable, and then they turn around and sue a municipality when things crumble or go badly. So please add a condition to run with the land that such permission will not be granted. And any landowner should sign an indemnification letter for any land movement, flood, or sea rise. And a few other conditions, please ask that the soil stay on the site. Division of Forestry and Wildlife talked about the risk of spreading things like rapid ohia death and fire ants, coqui frogs, and invasive plant parts. I see they plan to return the public access trail to Aleolea Point, which I think is wonderful, and I hope there's a condition that they maintain that trail. And plans for sewage, of course, need to be approved by Department of Environmental Management. They originally talked about taking septic waste or treated water to the Hilo sewage plant, but
30 seconds remaining.
yeah, even if it was in good shape, that plant, it couldn't handle those things. And I think they're going to do sewer. I know neighbors have had concerns about noise and traffic. We hope to see bicycle lanes and space for bus stops. And there's recommendations from Department of Forestry and Wildlife for seabird friendly lighting. And last, if there's any time extensions, please require that they have to go through county council, not just the planning director. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, I have Hannah Hartman. If you please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I swear.
Okay, please press the microphone button and speak directly and clearly into the microphone, and begin your testimony by stating your name, the town you reside in, and please summarize your testimony within 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's much different. Okay, I'll start over. Aloha, good morning, county council commissioners. We had it the first time. My name is Hannah Hartman. I am a master's student in tropical conservation biology and environmental science here at UH Hilo, and Hilo is the town that I call home. I have two main concerns regarding item 2 relating to the Ola Brew distillery. My first one is that when I first moved here to Hawaii, I worked for the Spatial Data Analysis and Visualization Lab, the SDAV lab, under Dr. Ryan Peroy at UH. And I was part of the coastal erosion susceptibility analysis. And I know firsthand that the Hamakua Coast is one of the quickest receding coastlines that we have here on this INA. And so I'm really concerned about the building, that one corner, but mostly just the entire main building being only 60 feet or less than 100 feet away from the coastline. And then my second biggest concern in my undergrad, I studied wildland soil science. And so soil is alive, it's an ecosystem, and keeping it on site is one of the best things that we can do. They plan to excavate 12,000 cubic yards. And if that does need to happen, we need to figure out a way where that soil can be utilized and put back into our ecosystem and that fertility kept in a way that's regenerative. Mahalo, I think those are my two main concerns. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, I have Terry Napeahi. Hi, Terry. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Playing on Spotify.
Phones nowadays.
Thank you.
My name is Terry Napiahi. I'm here representing a few voices of our Hawaiian community. And I just wanted to disclose that I am a planning department employee as a planner. And I just wanted to disclose that I am off from work now, and I'm here as a public member to discuss some of the concerns that our community, our Hawaiian community, had questions of. I know Naea, and I had a short chat with her about the concerns of our community with the use that was publicized in the Hawaii Tribune Herald, calling their okolihau product traditional Hawaiian okolihau. And it was just something that I wanted to bring to the commissioners' ears about the use of it. Using the word traditional Hawaiian is probably not correct, because okolihau was not used traditionally in our ancient times. It was introduced when Western men arrived here, and the processing of distilled alcohol. So that was just something I brought up with Naea, and she's okay with being considerate about the idea of labeling that, because I know that authenticity goes a long way. I do have a company that has a traditional imu, and know that they have to take steps to authenticate the advertising of the label traditional Hawaiian okolihau. And that was my concern. I did talk to her, and she's going to take that into consideration. Mahalo.
Thank you. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Okay. Mahalo.
All right, commissioners, do you have any questions for the testifiers? Seeing none, Are there any other testifiers that would like to testify now before any agenda item? Yeah. Janice, anybody on Zoom?
Yes, we have two testifiers registered here. The first testifier is James Dahlberg.
Okay,
James, if you're on a phone, you can unmute by pressing *9. Okay, I asked him to unmute on Zoom, but we also have another testifier here, Chris Whidden, if he's ready to provide testimony. You can unmute and turn on your camera.
Hello, thank you, commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
hi, Chris. So you would like to testify now, or you want to wait until the agenda item is called?
I can honestly wait till the agenda item is called. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just wanted to check.
that's okay.
Thank you. It's a preference, so. Yeah. Okay, seeing that there are, do you want to try James again?
Yes, James, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Hi, James.
great.
Would you like to testify now, or wait until the agenda item is called?
I'll wait until the agenda item is called. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other testifiers that would like to testify now? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. Okay. So first item is applicant Academia Sinica Institute of Astronomy and Astrophysics PL-SPP-2022-000025. Application for a special permit for the temporary operation of an array of 10 satellite dishes and a 50-foot by 50-foot dipole antenna array and related improvements to conduct research on fast radio bursts, or FRBs, on an approximately 2.0 acre portion of a larger 10.7 acre property in the State Land Use Agricultural District. The subject property is located approximately 1,375 feet southeast Makai of the Wood Valley Road, Makakupu Road intersection, Ka'alaala, Kapalapala, Ka'u, Hawaii, TMK 39-6-01, parcel number 7, a portion of. Noting that Commissioner Cross and Vice Chair Daniele are recused from this agenda item. We do have quorum to hear this agenda item. So if I could ask Commissioner Cross and Vice Chair Daniele to step outside until we are finished with agenda item number 1. Sorry, if Commissioner Cross, could you make us just a brief statement about your recusal, please?
I used to be the land manager for the Edmund C. Olson Trust. And I think that connection was too significant, even though I do not work for the trust anymore. I'm quite attached to the lands, and I do provide consulting services now as an independent. So I do receive funds from the trust.
Thank you, Commissioner Cross. Vice Chair Daniele, if you can make a brief statement regarding your recusal.
Yes, good morning. I'm the general manager of Ka'u Coffee Mill on Olson Trust land that encompasses the site of the first agenda item.
Thank you so much. If the two commissioners could please step outside until we are finished with agenda item number 1. Sorry, we're just going to check outside if the speakers are on or not. But yeah. Okay. Just letting everybody know, and those on Zoom, that the two contested case petitions were withdrawn. So noting those two have been withdrawn, I will now move on to public testimony for agenda item number 1. The first person I have here in person is Jeffrey Bauer. If you could please raise your right hand. Swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission.
I do.
Please press the microphone button and speak directly and clearly into the microphone. Begin your testimony by stating your name and the area you reside in. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jeffrey Bauer. I live in Hilo. I am the chief scientist for Asia A, based here in Hilo. We are a small astronomy research group. We are connected to a larger research group. You may be familiar with our work on the black hole Poveghi, which received international attention several years ago, and we were involved in the Hawaiian naming of that. We're here today for this project to study fast radio bursts. This is one of the most exciting areas of astrophysics. It's an opportunity to study distant exploding stars that are sending radio waves to Earth and that probe the history of the universe and the structure of the universe. And there's a global activity in this area. Hawaii is a special place to carry out this research, and the Wolf Valley location is in particular a very special place for this because as optical astronomy suffers from light pollution, radio astronomy suffers from radio frequency interference. And so an isolated location shielded from television, cell phone, all sorts of communication devices, your iPhone, by the mountain walls that surround the valley makes it very special. We've done studies around the island, and it is a unique place here. Additionally, the island of Hawaii, or the location in the Pacific, is very special because it allows us to work with telescope arrays located both in Asia and in North America. Connecting those together gives us a special set of results, allowing us to localize events. It also allows us to see the sky at times when other telescopes cannot. And these are bursting events that occur actually just for a millisecond duration and propagate across the universe. So if you blink, you miss it. I want to point out this is a passive activity. We are not generating radio waves. The radio waves are coming to us. We're just receiving them. We, in fact, do absolutely everything we can to limit the amount of radio emission that gets produced by the electronics that we put there. We want to have a very small footprint. This is a temporary installation for this purpose, as
30 seconds remaining.
Only up to 10 years. We're certainly very interested in working with the local community and the neighbors to be good neighbors in this area. We've revised our application on the basis of some concerns that were previously introduced. And I think more broadly, it's worth considering this project in terms of seeing it as a diversification of the astronomy footprint here in Hawaii, not only located on mountaintops. So mahalo for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, I have Noah Kaiserman.
This is for everyone.
Good morning. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission? Please press the microphone button and speak directly and clearly into the microphone. Begin your testimony by stating your name and the town you reside in, and please summarize your testimony within 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Noah Kaiserman. I live in Wood Valley, 22 years up where you denied this installation, and now I live about a quarter of a mile from where this is going to be installed, and that last speech was really affected me. This is to the Hawaii Planning Commission. What else did you want me to say? I'm a massage therapist of 23 years and applied kinesiologist. This is to the Hawaii Planning Commission, and aloha. This letter is pertaining to the application of the ASAII installation of all that you spoke about, the 80 feet containers, 24 solar panels, and something like 50-foot antenna. I'm nervous and happy that all of you were speaking off papers as well. That's what I'm going to read off of. The exact area, just like the area where the project got rejected April 22nd, a year ago, in upper part of Wood Valley, will be desecrated if this project is approved. I live only a quarter of a mile from that. Here is exactly why people, farmers, cattle raising, and more are looking for the peace and quiet and remoteness of the society's building. This prime agriculture land to feed the people with the products and promote sustainable living. This area of all of Ka'u's need to stay agricultural without questionable studies that take our lands away from the potential of our future existence of nutrition from our fertile lands. This will negatively impact not only us in this impact, it will impact all of Hawaii Island. This prime agriculture land to feed the people with the products that promote sustainable living. To not have radio waves frequencies, especially in the most fertile and silent area, when there definitely are more places that are not as beautiful as the paradise where we, the people, have chosen to live. It's surprising that the Olson Trust supports this project since they are in this agricultural true zone. The Olson Trust
30
website
seconds
promotes
remaining.
to protect Hawaii. It's so beautiful, conservative agriculture community, yet they are supporting this project. My request is to not pollute or damage this area with this project. There are more other places that you may consider even with my, anyway, that you can do this kind of work without desecrating this area. They're not as beautiful and they are as silent.
Your
And
time is up. Thank you for your testimony.
that last testimony really got to me.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, I have Sandra Riha.
Thank you.
Hi, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission? Please press the microphone button and speak directly and clearly into the microphone. Oh, I think it's already on, so you're good.
It's on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Speak directly and clearly into the microphone and begin your testimony by stating your name and the town you reside in. Please summarize your testimony within 3 minutes.
My name is Sandra Ria, and I reside in the Ka'u district, specifically Wood Valley. I was living right across the street for where the first time that they were presenting this. And when I say they, on the sign, it said Academia Seneca, but it's been wiped out. And so nobody knew who's applying for this time. But I see now that it's the same because I'm getting to renew my friendship with Dr. Chen, who's, I think, the director of the new set. Anyway, I'm so concerned about this. It's a much more complicated situation than I think anybody has been willingly looking at, especially in the things in this last year, as this has just been such a big thing in my life. And I care so much for the Kau district and keeping it agricultural. I think it's so essential. We take in 85% of our food is sent here, is transported from elsewhere. We need to be able to have all the land, and this is the designated ag zone of this island, and we need to be able to have all our people that are able to be growing the food and the various supplies for us. I'm happy to announce that the property, the Mizuno property that Asia A had been going for, has been bought by a young family, a young farmer who has big plans for utilizing that. So that is, and I have someone looking at my property, young family, who, and I feel that since the sugarcane went out of business, that it's taken a while for all this, but now we have the biggest Mamaki tea farm in Hawaii, right there in our area, and all the potential. But we can't, the way the weather's changing, the way that transport might not be able to get to us, we need to be doing more. And I'm not against the project. I think there's more unknowns about it than knowns. We don't know
30
really
seconds remaining.
where they come from, what they're about, whatever. And just much more needs to be understood and really clarified about all of this. I walked out of the Kau the footprint park, and I looked, and here's all this expanse of land. No houses, no nothing, no whatever. You mean to tell me someplace in there they couldn't take those 10, 20 foot, 80 foot of container,
Your time is up. Thank you
24
for your
solar
testimony.
panels to that area? Doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't have to be in our agricultural district.
Thank you for your testimony. Commissioners, any questions for any of the testifiers? No? Yes.
How would anyone here love to have that in front of their house to look at for the rest of their life? I'm just wondering. You know, I raised my children in 40 years. How would you like to look at that? If you look at view.
Ma'am, you've had your chance to testify. And I'm afraid if you interrupt the hearing, you'll have to be removed. Thank you. Hearing that there are no questions for the testifiers here in person, are there any testifiers via Zoom on this matter?
No, there are no testifiers on Zoom for agenda item 1.
Thank you, Janice. Okay. We'll move on to staff presentation. So if I could ask for okay, so staff, Jessica.
Janice, just want to confirm that you can see the slideshow.
Yes, looks
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. I'll be presenting on behalf of the Deputy Planning Director. So this is a special permit application for Academia Sinica Institute of Astronomy and Astrophysics. This is the location map showing you the subject property in red. It is just to the north of Pahala. The applicant's request is a special permit to allow the following uses on a 2-acre portion of a larger 10.7-acre property. 10 commercial TV satellite dishes 20 feet in diameter with reception capacity of 400 to 800 megahertz fixed in a stationary position facing northeast with 7 to 8 foot tall support poles. A 50-foot by 50-foot dipole antenna array with stationary dipole antennas. A gravel driveway approximately 1,400 feet in length and 10 feet in width with an unobstructed clear width of 20 feet for fire department access. 1 catchment tank of at least 4,000 gallons capacity for fire suppression. 1 porta potty. 2 40-foot shipping containers for storage. A small 25 to 30 panel solar power array to support approximately 10 kilowatts of power to be installed on top of or adjacent to shipping containers. Underground power lines connecting the satellite and dipole antenna arrays to the shipping containers and solar power array. And fencing to protect the proposed arrays from grazing animals, enclosing an area of approximately 1 acre. Reasons for the request. According to the applicant, the array of satellite dishes would conduct scientific studies on the astrophysical origin of fast radio bursts, or FRBs. FRBs are powerful radio bursts coming from within and outside of our galaxy, which are not yet understood. The applicant intends to study the sources and origins of these radio bursts, which requires a radio quiet site. Ka'u was found to be the best radio quiet area on Hawaii Island based on surveys conducted by the applicant. The satellites and antennas are designed for FRB reception only. Therefore, no outward transmission of radio signals would occur. In addition, all satellites would be fixed to look at the northeastern sky only, thus no satellite movement would occur. The proposed use would be temporary with an unspecified lease term that includes the option to renew the lease. And the proposed facility will operate unattended on a continuous basis with 1 person checking on operations once or twice a week. This map shows you the county zoning for the area. You can see the subject property, the property outlined in red, and the permit area in the upper northwest corner with a dashed blue line. And the zoning for the property and the entire area surrounding it is agricultural 20 acres or A20A. The state land use for the area is agricultural. The subject property and the entire area surrounding it is agricultural, state land use. And the LUPAG, or the Land Use Pattern Allocation Guide from the County General Plan, it designates, there's a mixed designation where 90% of the property shown in the white, or I should say the permit area, is extensive agricultural, and a small portion is the light green, which is important agricultural land. So it's a small portion at the northwest corner of the permit area. This is the applicant's site plan, and it shows you the special permit area in the upper right, or sorry, the upper left corner. And that special permit area is approximately 2 acres. And the fenced area within that special permit area is approximately 1 acre. So you can see the satellite array on the upper portion, shipping containers, catchment tank, and porta potty in the center. And then on the lower portion is the dipole antenna array, and it's all fenced. And then the entry driveway is on the left side there, entering the permit area. This is an aerial photograph showing the subject parcel outlined in red, and then you see the 2-acre proposed special permit area in blue. And nearby you see Wood Valley Road, which goes from the lower portion to the upper portion of the slide. And that's the access road, which the driveway accesses from. And the deputy director's recommendation is approval with conditions, including a 10-year life of the permit with no opportunity for renewal. And that concludes my presentation. I will stop the screen share at this point.
Thank you, Jessica. Commissioners, questions regarding the staff presentation? Okay. Now we're moving on to the applicant's presentation. Will the applicant or the applicant's representative please come forward? If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Please speak directly into the microphone. State your name, the area you reside in, and whom you represent.
Yes. Aloha kako. Thank you, Chair Lynn. Thank you, commissioners, for being here and your dedication to this important process. It's been a long road to get to this point. As represented and as testified by some of the applicants, there was a previous application for another site within the Wood Valley community. With concerns brought up by those community members, we withdrew. We were not denied that application. We withdrew that application.
I'm sorry, Mr. Pippin. You have to state your.
Oh, yes. Sir. John Pippin, Land Planning Hawaii, here representing ASIAA, Dr. Chen and his colleagues.
Okay, and before we get into the discussion of the agenda item, have you received the background report and recommendation reports from the planning department? And do you agree with the recommendations, including the proposed conditions? And you can go forward from there.
We have, thank you. So we agree with the proposed conditions and very much appreciate the hard work by the planning department and this commission on reviewing and helping us through this process. So as I was saying, based on the concerns brought to us by community members, we withdrew the previous application for another site within the Wood Valley community, closer to neighbors. And we broadened our search and looked for a site that didn't have nearby neighbors, was more remote, was more isolated, and we happened upon this site. So here we are. And I have been advised, and I do need to address a certain item, mainly for the record, just in case there's litigation surrounding this in the future, due to the many delays we've encountered in this process. So this current application requested to be heard at the January Planning Commission meeting. Now, due to circumstances outside of our control, 2 commissioners being recused, there was no quorum, and subsequently for several months since then, there has been no quorum. There is Planning Commission rules that relates to time to perform certain duties of the commission on application. So Planning Commission Rule 4 to 6, sorry, no, that was relating to the contested case petition. So I'll skip that part. This is reflecting Hawaii Revised Statutes 9113.5 C. And this, I don't want to read that in depth, but that requires the approving agency to make rules, to establish deadlines, to make decisions on applications like these. And the Planning Commission has made such rules. So Planning Commission Rule 6.8 provides that within 60 days after the close of a hearing, the Planning Commission has to approve or deny an application. So the first hearing on this matter we would contend would be the January hearing. And based on the minutes from the January hearing, let me get to that part. Sorry, one second. Yes, so it's clear that the commission took up the item. The January meeting minutes state the commission took up this item at 9:05 a.m. with 5 public members in attendance. Chair Lynn stated 2 commissioners of the 5 commissioners in attendance had a conflict of interest on the agenda item and were recused. Therefore, due to the lack of quorum to hear or act on the matter, the application was deferred to the commission's February 2nd, 2023 hearing. There is provision in Planning Commission Rule 46A that says if the applicant requests that that meeting is deferred, then the subsequent meeting would be considered. We made no such request in January. So January was the first meeting. The time has elapsed to make a decision. Therefore, based on Planning Commission rules and based on this HRS 91-13.5, it would appear this application by technicality has been automatically approved. We don't want to sidestep the authority of the commission. We think the public dialogue, we think your mana'o, your experience and wisdom is very important. And we think that the merits of this application will carry it to approval so that we don't have to rely on this technicality, this automatic approval. But just in case of litigation or appeal, anything like that, I have to make these statements on the record so that we can refer to them at a later time. So with that said, I'll move on to the actual substance of the application. So applicants ASIAA is a research institute in Taiwan striving to be at the forefront of astronomical research. It's their goal to become an international research institute engaged in frontier projects, competing and collaborating with leading research groups worldwide. So this proposal is like a special permit in its perfect form. It's a special, unreasonable, unusual request of agricultural land. And although the surrounding area does have good agricultural potential, the very small scale and limited duration of the project means that allowing for this temporary use will not displace any existing agricultural activity or diminish the future agricultural potential of the land. Neighboring uses are rural and agricultural, and we looked hard for a suitable location that would entail very little to no impact on the surrounding community. And in this case, I think we found that ideal site. The nearest neighboring dwelling is over 1,800 feet to the northwest, and we're proposing screening plantings in that direction to prevent view impacts from the small installation to these existing homes and to potential building sites shown to us by the nearest neighbor to this project, Mr. Kaufman. We've been working with him for months and addressing any and all of his concerns. He would be the most impacted by this request since the driveway relies on an easement that crosses his land. No impacts are anticipated to traditional or customary native Hawaiian rights. There's no notable resources or customary practices on this site. This area was all previously cultivated in sugarcane, and the special permit area was previously used as a log disposal area. SHPD has determined that no historic sites would be affected by this use. Again, traffic impacts next to non-existent, a couple of trips a week. And at the heart of this project is the research, the question. What is this phenomenon and what causes it? Research into astronomy and astrophysics helps us to understand our place in the universe and the history and evolution of the cosmos. Cutting edge astronomy research like this is pushing the boundaries of our understanding of the universe, and it's opening up new frontiers of discovery. From the detection of exoplanets orbiting distant stars to the observation of the most distant objects in the cosmos, astronomy research is constantly pushing the limits of what we can see and know. This research is also driving the development of new technologies and techniques that allow us to study the universe in unprecedented detail. Whether it's the use of advanced telescopes or the creation of new computational models, astronomy research is at the forefront of scientific innovation and discovery. And by supporting this research, we can continue to unlock the secrets of the universe and shape our future in meaningful ways. We're happy to answer any questions you may have about the project and respectfully request your consideration to approve the special permit.
Thank you, Mr. Pippin. Questions? Sure. Commissioner Perrin, go ahead.
Good morning. I have a question. So I did a little research on the radio fast burst. And I think a lot of what resonating with the community is the effects it may have, both on the people, on the land, and the animals, wildlife, birds, all of that, because it's all a part of who we are. So I think if you folks could share a little as to how it may affect, if there's any effect, and maybe look in a light as what can you give back to the community? We love science. It does amazing things, like you said. It's the forefront of what's yet to come. But what can science give back to the community? Just a thought.
Thank you for your question. As to the first, these signals at their source are very energetic, but by the time they reach the Earth, they're extremely faint. And again, this site is solely passive. It's not emitting any radiation itself. It's simply receiving these very, very faint signals, and it has to be located in this very radio quiet area so that there's not extraneous sources. There's not extra noise that they have to filter out or sift through or get rid of to actually find that very faint source of the radio burst. So there's no emission from the site. There's no impact to flora, fauna, to folks' health. You know, if you're living closer to like a cell phone tower, or, you know, just living with your cell phone on you all the time, that's a greater source of radio waves. And in terms of giving back to the community, education, right? Inspiring our youth, saying there are opportunities here on the Big Island for making cutting edge contributions to the knowledge of science, right? And having students and you know, community members engage in that process is crucial. So, you know, I think that's how it's giving back. It's saying Hawaii is a very special place for research, for furthering our knowledge.
That's amazing. Maybe if you could folks work it into what you have going on and make it where you can maybe invite the kids up once a month and share, or even putting together a newsletter that feeds the community, let them know what you, or even just to maybe go adopt a highway, just so they can see you and know, hey, yes, we're taking up space, but we're also going to do our best to be good stewards of this land. So what's yet to come is still going to be able to enjoy it to its utmost potential.
Agreed. Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Perrin. Any other questions, Commissioner? I have a question, two questions. One would be, what kind of outreach have you done so far, right? In terms of your previous application that was denied, as well as your current outreach, speaking to the community in Ka'u, the farmers, the neighbors. So if you could just expand on that.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Aside from the basic requirements of notifying surrounding property owners and posting a sign for the project, we have engaged interested community members in online talk story sessions Last year, we did that for the previous site. We've gone to the site and held, just kind of informal talk story sessions with community members. Dr. Chin was involved in that as well. We went out and visited the site with Mr. Kaufman, that nearest neighboring property owner, to look at the sites where he was proposing to build in the future to make sure that we were not impacting his views from his property, which is the nearest neighboring property. We adjusted the site plan based on that back and forth with Mr. Kaufman to be more toward the north end of the property and more square in shape, and have the screening plantings consisting of bamboo and banana, and even going so far as to erect a taller fence on that side to attach screening material in the interim until those screening plants can grow in. We've done a lot of outreach on this one, and much of the testimony in opposition has come in at this last minute before this commission meeting. Prior to the January meeting, there was no opposing testimony for this use. So again, we're trying to address things that are valid concerns that we can do aside from moving to another site. This is our second site that we chose specifically to address all those concerns brought up in that significant back and forth with the community.
Thank you, Mr. Pippin. I appreciate your comments, but based off of the testimony that we did receive and the testimony that we got today, Mr. Kaufman is a neighbor, but he may not represent the community as a whole. So has that community had been reached out to discuss this project?
So we got a good sense for the concerns of the community from the initial meetings last year around this time. And our impression was they don't want the project, period. So it seemed that nothing that we could do aside from pulling the plug and giving up would satisfy them. And I don't see that as something that we can mitigate or plan around. Just giving up is not a reasonable request at this point. So there's only so much dialogue back and forth that you can have when you've made your best attempt to mitigate every valid, reasonable concern and satisfy those that are most impacted by the project. When those who continue to be opposed would do so regardless of what you chose or offered.
Thank you. My second question is, how do you define radio quiet areas? What is the criteria that Asia A looked at when choosing a location?
Yeah, I'll defer to Dr. Chin on that. He's done the surveys and knows how best to quantify that, Dr. Chin.
Yes, sir. I'll have to swear you in first. So if you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter in front of the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Please state your name and you may go ahead.
My name is Min Teng Chen. I live in Hilo for 22 years. I came here just for to doing astronomy. So I have project on Mauna Kea for doing astronomy during all this time. So I'm an employee of Academia Sinica, which is headquartered in Taipei, but we have a branch office here because we want to be international. Astronomy basically is international, so this is the front line of our research. So that's why I'm here.
Radio quiet surveys?
Yes. So the radio quiet survey is that civilization, we use a lot of radio devices. The most obvious one is our cell phone. The cell phone actually come with different generation come with different frequency. It is all we will say that it usually lower in lower frequency parts. But this part is the part that we are most interested for this specific science topic. Usually this is something in technicality, we say that is below 5 gigahertz. So usually our Wi-Fi is something like 2-3 gigahertz. Our cell phone, the LTE, which is below 1 gigahertz, something like 700 megahertz. Our communication, our walkie-talkie, this thing is something about a couple hundred megahertz. Our radio station, the FM, which is about 100 megahertz. That's if you listen to this Hawaii PBS, that's 93.3 megahertz. So it happened to be this part of the frequency is what we're most interested in. Clearly, because the signal we're interested is so weak, extremely weak. It's all under all these man-made signals. All this, our cell phone, our Wi-Fi, our walkie-talkie is all much lower than that frequency. So if I want to do this experiment in Hilo, that's impossible because we have this so-called spectrum analyzer come detect it. We see the air is full of all these different man-made signals. We cannot see anything that's so weak coming from the sky. So that's why I look around the whole island. Well, as many places I can access to, that reasonable I can drive to. I'm use my device to check for the how noisy of the environment. It turns out that I looked, it's happened to be in the south part of the Big Island is the most quiet. But you sort of can envision that because first of all, it's flanked by Mauna Loa. So all the signal from Kona side, from Hilo side, that's it blocked out by the Mauna Loa. There's a strong cell phone tower from Volcano Village that's broadcast along the highway. That's for safety. That is too strong for my for our work. So I had to try to hide away from the signal somehow. I cannot go too south because once past Pahala, then that's South Point. That's Discovery part. And then there's even a very strong radar right next to Pahala on the southwest side. That broadcast is extremely strong. That will completely saturate everything that our sensitive device. So this is how we define it as a safety of the quiet zone. Is that if you go to Wood Valley, there's just no cell signal. Your cell phone doesn't work there. It's so nice, so quiet. So that's the best place. But then we respected our neighbor. I mean, I do recognize that is not the right way for us to put our experiment. That's why we came out of the Wood Valley. I did the test again. It's not as good, but I think for our experiment so far, we can take it. We can do it there. So that's why we think that's a good place to do it. Mainly because there's just no man-made signal. We are just listening. We're sitting there listening to some whispers from the sky. That's a natural whisper, not any intelligence. So that's what we call radio quiet zone.
Thank you, Dr. Chin. I appreciate the background. I guess why Hawaii Island? There's other islands in the Pacific. There's Alaska up north. There's all these different areas that could be a possible site, but why choose Big Island?
Well, that's because I'm here. Well, I think mainly because it's the location that we've been doing astronomy here. I'm a scientist. I'm doing this for my career. Is that no? I know as a scientist we don't really produce physical thing, tangible thing, but we do explore. We make knowledge. Well, not make knowledge. We explore knowledge, and we try to understand our past, understand what we are now, because I believe that by gathering all this knowledge, then we will know better to make decision for the future. So that's what I do. That's what actually my colleague we do it as a career. So we always keep looking at a good site to do this. Yes, there might be a better place in Alaska, but clearly I'm not there. We don't have a setup there, so I can set up any site there. And because I'm here, we have this opportunity. We have the interest of doing this. This interest is not just from my headquarters. Well, I'm doing this together with a Canadian project, which was much bigger project. I'm doing this with colleagues in the mainland. So this is a global interest from scientists. So this is also part of why we are doing this, because it comes to a stage that the technology is mature enough that we can explore this. If it's 10 years ago or 15 years ago, our technology is not this advanced. But because of the mature of technology, so that make the scientists interested in this. We just think that maybe we can get together to spend 5-10 years to try to understand what it is. That's the science.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? No. If not, I would like to entertain a motion. Or does the applicant want to respond to any of the testimony that was provided today?
Certainly. Ms. Kaiserman stated she lives a quarter mile from the site. And I'm thinking you may mean the previous site. Okay. Well, yes, and that's the map covered much more than a quarter mile in diameter. So we could pull that up, but my understanding is the nearest home is well over a quarter mile away, and that has not been a source of objection, basically. And again, we were withdrawing our previous proposal, not rejected. And I think I did miss one point in the technical, got to get on the record from previously. I did discuss Planning Commission Rule 6.8, which provides 60 days after the close of the first hearing, the Planning Commission makes a decision. There's also Planning Commission Rule 6.6, which provides that 90 days from the acceptance of a special permit, the commission will set the date for the hearing, and it would be 90 days, right? So we didn't request a delay to this point, right? We haven't agreed to all of the delays that brought us to this point. So that argument as well, I just want to preserve for the record that we do believe that this matter has already been settled by this technical automatic approval provided in Planning Commission rules. So again, we do believe that based on its merits, this is a good project. It does not entail significant adverse effects to the community or agricultural potential of the land. It is unusual and reasonable. It meets all the criteria that you as commissioners need to evaluate for a special permit. And again, we definitely respectfully request your approval of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pippin. And your comments are noted for the record. So if anybody else has any questions, if not, motion.
Chair, I move that the application for special permit number docket number 2022-000025 be approved based on the Deputy Planning Director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Deleuze. Is there any second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Baylog. Any discussion or comments? Okay, I would just like to say that I agree with Ms. Perrin's comments earlier. It is one thing to do scientific research, but to be committed to the community and, participate and be interactive with that community is important. So, I hope that, that's put in the back of your minds. So that's all I have. Staff, roll call vote. Is there any other comments? Oh, Commissioner Deleuze, you had anything? Oh, okay. Okay, staff, roll call vote, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Commissioner Deleuze,
I favor.
Commissioner Baylog.
Aye.
Chair Lynn, or I'm sorry, let me back up. Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
and finally Chair Lynn.
No.
With a 3-1 vote, the motion does not pass. I turn the floor back to the chair.
The reason why I voted no is because I just don't feel that it's the right place. Just in my mind, just from a layperson's perspective, there's so many other different locations. And it's still not clear to me what the criteria for the silent, radio silent area. I mean, that could be defined on any other place. But just, it still comes back to my mind as a why Ka'u. I'm sure there's other locations on this island that could be radio silent. I'm not saying I'm against science. I just think that there's options still out there. Just yesterday or this morning, I was reading an article regarding exoplanets and, a repeating radio wave coming from an exoplanet. I mean, that kind of scientific finding is fascinating to me. But is it the way that the research is being done necessarily respectful of the community that it's in? And have we really researched all the different options? That's my thought process regarding that. I mean, if the other commissioners want to convince me otherwise, I'm open to that as well. But I vote with my conscience.
Chair Lynn, if I may, just about the search that drew us to this specific location. So Dr. Chin had done groundwork initially, as he describes, surveying around the island, looking for radio quiet sites, and found himself in Ka'u and in Wood Valley as the best site for the reasons he's described, with Mauna Loa volcano creating a shield from sources in civilization of radio noise. So there's this pocket in Wood Valley, and the best site is where folks live in Wood Valley. So he negotiated a lease with the Mizuno property owners, which was the previous site. And we heard concerns of the community members as we were getting nearer to the Planning Commission public meeting. And we found it prudent to withdraw that site. So this brought us to a search, again, someplace nearby that still had those attributes of being shielded from sources of radio noise from civilization, but was more remote, more isolated, and wide open acreage areas. And this is something that Ms. Rea actually put in her original contested case petition. Why don't you look for a site that's in open acreage areas? And that's what we did. We took that to heart. We went out and we searched, and we found this 10-acre parcel that was surrounded by hundreds of acres of open land. And all we want to do is use 2 acres of it, fence 1 acre for this temporary use. The site will be returned to its original condition 10 years from now if this is approved, right? This is not going to be here for 11 years even. So this is a special area. We definitely respect the concerns, and we're doing everything that we possibly can to be as mindful and as minimal, as passive as possible, aside from not existing. So that's what drew us to this site. It's in an area that's surrounded by really nice soils. And we toured Mr. Kaufman's farm and saw the amazing work that he's done there on his farm. This site is not the same soils as that nearby site. The soils are much poorer in this small area, as evidenced by the extensive agricultural designation and evidenced by its previous use as a log disposal site, right? They're not going to use prime ag land as a log disposal site. So we saw all of these factors really lining up as this is the ideal site. You know, we're not nearby a bunch of neighbors, and the neighbor that we are nearby, we've talked with them extensively and worked with them to satisfy their concerns. So, you know, aside from going to another Pacific island or Alaska, that's really outside of the scope and our ability. And that's honestly not a criterion we employ to evaluate special permits. Is this an unusual and reasonable use? Is it going to adversely affect the agricultural potential of this area? It's not. So I think it's clear that this is a suitable temporary use without serious adverse impacts. Respectfully.
Dr. Chin.
Yes. So I was doing the site survey 2 years ago. So I pretty much did along the entire Hamakua coast, all the way reaching, well, not in the YPO, at least before the YPO. So all this side on the Hilo side. I also did the saddle road. Actually, saddle road pretty bad because all the military communication, safety, everything. It's very, very noisy. I even endeavor into Mana Road, but that is simply not easy to operate. I did the koala side, so that's not that part. I did about 50, 60 sites around the island. So why didn't go to other island? As you can see, we are very small outfit. The employee, my colleagues out here, this is 60% of my whole team here. We are small operation. As a scientist, we we write proposal to our funding agency to ask for money. So that's usually we has to be very optimistic, then lower our budget. So as you can see, it's very poor. So what we can offer actually what we can offer is our more educational outreaching. So I think, for example, when we can go to Kau community, go to the high school, go to school, maybe not weekly but monthly, right? So we can go there to promote science, to talk about the astronomy. If there's a higher, if students are interested in taking interns, we taking Akamai students every year. We several Hilo High School or KI High School. They also the UH student, they all come to work for our small team. After that, they go to study on the mainland, even internationally. So what we can offer is that we can work on the public outreaching to the kids. We can show them our instrument. If they are doing really well, we can even send them to our international partner as an internship, as an opportunity. Those part we can offer. That's our service, our experience. We are willing to offer that as our feedback to the appreciation to the community. That part you have my word. We can do it. We like to do it.
Thank you, Dr. Chin. I think that's the piece that this whole case was missing, was your commitment. I don't, think that scientific research is wrong, but it just seemed like you were putting satellite dishes on a property and just walking away, right? The information just comes to you and you do nothing else but just sit at your computers listening to the radio waves that come in. What I was looking for was exactly what you just said, is what are you going to do for the Big Island community, the Kau community, and how you can help support that community in terms of, here's what we have to bring you. I think that's the piece that I was looking for. So with your statement on record, I hope that you do commit to that. And with that, I change my vote to an aye.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mike. You had your testimony in the beginning. I'm sorry, the rules are as stated, I'm sorry, I cannot take any further testimony outside of the testimony period. So
Thank you all.
Staff, roll call vote.
Yes, I believe we're going to redo the original motion, or do we have a new motion?
Commissioners, would you be opposed to adding a condition for purposes of getting an update report in some of the community engagement that this organization is doing?
No, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
I think, Chair, though, you got to be more specific as far as when you use the word community. I think if taking Dr. Chen's suggestions, I think if he supports it and sends it in, I see him as a person of great moral character. So community people change. He's going to be there for the whole duration of this project. So I would say that if that is what you have in mind, I'm not opposed to that, but I would probably take it straight to the source and have him. That way we can always make recommendations or changes. I think that was a great presentation on his part on how he wants to involve the community. You know, I mean, I've quite frankly, I've seen TV discs bigger than that, you know, so but we appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's a great recommendation. I agree.
Dr. Chin, what do you think of that condition?
Just provide a report on community outreach.
Yeah,
internships.
sure. You will.
Want to annualize it or?
Yeah, annual report.
Yeah.
So for the duration of your 10-year permit, you would provide an annual report each year of what kind of community outreach that you've been doing here on Hawaii Island and beyond, if related to this project.
I agree. Yes.
Okay. So could I propose a motion for that condition?
Sure.
I
will, I move to that the application for special permit docket 2022-00025 be approved based on the deputy planning director's recommendation, in addition to planning Chair Dennis Lim's recommendation of an annualized report from I'll just put the director of the academy to submit on an annualized basis should be adopted.
Is there a second?
Does that
Yeah.
sound pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good with me. Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Deleuze and seconded by Commissioner Perrin. Any further discussion or comments? If not, staff, roll call vote.
Chair Lynn, can
Yes.
I get clarification? Is that report being provided to the planning commission or to the department?
Of Planning Department, so that it's on record.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this is a motion to approve with amendments, namely the condition as stated. Commissioner Deleuze.
Right.
Oh,
I didn't hear.
motion for approval, your vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Approved.
I can restate if you like.
That's good.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Commissioner Deleuze, did you say?
To restate the motion.
No, it's okay. I'll restate here.
Okay.
So this is
Thank
a
you.
motion to approve with the amendments of the condition regarding the annual report as stated. So it's a motion to approve. And you're up.
Approved.
Thank you. Commissioner Perrin,
Approve.
Commissioner Baylock,
Approve.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 votes.
Thank you. And you will be notified of the commission's decision in writing.
Mahalo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, right now we're going to take a 5-minute recess so that commissioners and planning directors may switch out. All right, 5-minute recess. all commissioners are back. Staff, you guys ready? Okay. Call this hearing back in session. Next item is Hawaiian Ola Brewing Corporation, PL-SMA-2022-000025. Application for a special management area use permit to convert the existing Wainaku Executive Center into a micro distillery, restaurant, and bar, and includes grading for new parking and the installation of a wastewater system to accommodate the new uses on 12.31 acres of land situated in the special management area. The subject parcels are located along the Makai side of Hawaii Belt Road, approximately 200 feet south of its intersection with Howe Street, portion of Wailua and Mokuhonua, South Hilo, Hawaii, TMKs 32-6-015, parcels 1 and 2. Okay, at this time, I want to make an announcement that due to technical difficulties, the commissioners did not receive the background and recommendation reports. However, we are going to take testimony and staff presentation, and if the applicant wants to do their presentation today. And then we will defer decision-making until our next month's hearing, if that is okay with the applicant. Who is the applicant's? Okay. Yeah, you can have the option of you can do your presentation next time, or you can do your presentation today, and then we ask you questions next time. Okay. All right, so I will take public testimony at, oh, sorry. Got to do it. There's one recusal, Commissioner Cross. If you could please state your recusal for this case.
I need to recuse myself from this because I have provided information to Ola, Brett, and Ehalani regarding their application. Prior to that, I was involved with Olson Trust, and I performed the SM minors 13-000261, and then prior to that, I did the SMA major 367 back in 1996.
Thank you, Commissioner Cross. If you could step out of the hearing chambers for now, and we will call you back in for agenda item number 3. Thank you. Okay. Janice, are there any testifiers via Zoom for agenda
Yes.
item number 2?
Yes, we have 2 people registered to testify for agenda item 2. We have James Dahlberg and Chris Whitten.
Okay, let me take Mr. Dahlberg first. So Mr. Dahlberg, if you could please raise your right hand. Actually, let me swear both of you in at the same time. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission? Okay. Okay, Mr. Dahlberg, if you could please unmute and then state your name, the area you reside in, and you have 3 minutes.
Aloha. My name is Jim Dahlberg. I reside in Kailua Kona. I was born and raised in Kilkaha. And I'm supporting this application because I feel that Hilo could use another venue, another attraction for not only our local people, but also for the tourists. And also, I support the application because of what Ola has done for our community here in Kona. They've brought produce that prior to them purchasing it and using it in their seltzers was going to waste. And so over the past several years, over $1 million has been contributed to the farming community for the produce that used to be not used and is now used in their products. I've also observed that it's a young, vibrant group of entrepreneurs that have really built up two very established restaurants, the flagship in Kona, and then about a year ago, the restaurant in Hilo. And now to take a property that Doc Byers, renovated when he was the president of Brewer, and then the Olson Trust continued to preserve this historic site. Now to take this site and take it to a higher level, a venue, as I mentioned earlier, I think would be great for the continuing expansion of the economic tax base. And lastly, the infrastructure is in place there. Lots of times infrastructure lags, but in this case, the acceleration, deacceleration lanes, and just the infrastructure for that site can accommodate the amount of visitors that will be visiting this new venue. So I thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to testify. Aloha.
Thank you, Mr. Dahlberg. Next, I will take, sorry, I can't see your name. Chris Whitten. Okay, so if you could please unmute and state your name and the area you reside in, and you have 3 minutes. Just go ahead.
Thank you, commissioners. Chris Whitten in Waimea. I stand on my written testimony in support of Ola Brew's proposed work at Wainaku. So I'll keep this short with just a quick additional comment. I've had the pleasure of working with the Ola Brew team for many years now, and I can affirm firsthand that their commitment to developing the local ag economy is definitely authentic. The local jobs creation and bringing more grown and made in Hawaii products to market to compete with imported counterparts is much needed for Hawaii Island, and I believe this project can be a part of that. So yes, I stand in strong support of PLA SMA-2022-00025, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Whitten. Any questions for the testifiers? If not, we will move on. Noting that there are no in-person testifiers for this item, we'll move on to staff presentation. So staff, Alex.
Got my techie assistant helping me out.
Hi, Janice. Can you confirm that you're seeing the slideshow?
Yes, I can see the slideshow. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, good morning, commissioners. I'm here to present Special Management Area Use Permit Application PL SMA 2022-25. This is for the Wainaku Center in South Hilo District. Here's a location map. We can see, I think most of us who live on this side know where the Wainaku Center, but you can see that it's north of Hilo Town. Just near Kaviki Road. It's on the Mackay side of the highway. The applicant is requesting to convert this existing Wainaku Center into a micro distillery, restaurant and bar. There's going to be some grading and excavation of a hill on the west side of the building to allow for additional parking, as well as the various wastewater subsurface structures that are necessary for this use. They're going to install a new wastewater system, including connections to the county sewer. This has been, they've worked very closely with DEM to get this moving forward. And so they're going to be able to connect to the county sewer lines, but they will still require an on-site wastewater pretreatment, some minor equipment for that. The installation of safety fencing related development on other structures on the subject property to support the new uses. Safety fencing is really just on an old concrete pad that they're going to use. They just want to put up, there's fencing there now, but they're going to put up something that's actually less obtrusive. There's some metal fencing. And so they'll be putting up some kind of glass fence support to just to provide safety. Additional work, of course, is the interior work that includes the redesign and renovation of the existing Wainaku Center to accept this new micro distillery. restaurant, kitchen, and other related infrastructure within the building. So some interior renovations are necessary. The first floor will house the microdistillery and the agricultural processing facility, while the second floor will serve as the bar and the restaurant. So I'll show you some plans here soon. So to just go through the county zoning we have both MG 1A, so excuse me, it's industrial 5 acre, industrial 1 acre. You can see some of the surrounding, especially across the street, you have residential, both the RS 7.5, RS 10, and then again, RS 15. State land use, though, is all urban for all those areas except for in the ag zone lands across the street, Malka. But both parcels are in the urban. Lupeg's a little funky. We see that there's a section of open zoning, and then you have the line marks it off, but the pink there is resort node. You can see here, and then you have the urban expansion area, which actually includes all of that parcel 2. And then the surrounding lands we see as low density urban. There's a small section here of important ag lands, but the majority is that low density urban. So the site actually has 2. The first parcel has 2 designations, open and resort, and then the second has just that one, urban expansion. So here's an aerial photograph. I did cut it off a little bit, but this is the majority of the developed area that you see here on the parcel. So parcel 1 is the shoreline parcel, or the Mackay parcel. Parcel 2 would be that one, Malka of the highway off Wainaku Street. We can see that it's a portion of parcel 1 is developed with the existing Wainaku Center. There's landscaping, and then there's a good portion of it that's undeveloped and will remain as such. Parcel 2 has a small section of undeveloped, but it's got a large parking area. And then the parking area feeds across the path that is actually part of the shoreline access, but I'll speak a little bit more about that. So I'll go through a few of these others since you weren't able to do the background recommendation. Since you weren't able to read it, this is an aerial photograph kind of looking south towards Hilo, and this is the area of excavation that we will be talking about for the additional parking and for the sewer repairs. But you can see the Wainaku Center here, parking, and then of course the grassy area along the shoreline. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you reference that this is the area that will be excavated for terraced, actually, for the parking and for the sewer. And here's a close-up of the existing Wainaku Center, just to give everybody an idea what we're talking about. There's no exterior changes other than some small adjustments to the footprint, but there will be most of the work will be done interior. And then there's no proposed activities on this grassy area. Here's a one site plan. So we take note a couple things here. We see the 40-foot shoreline setback line. And I'd like to speak to that. There was some concern that the location of the structure being 60 feet away, posed some kind of danger or hazard. But the 40-foot setback is the setback required by law. And pretty common on a daily occurrence, we propose and approve development right up to that 40-foot setback. So it's very common to see that. So in this case, they're actually 20 feet further back than the required setback. So that's helpful. In fact, that would be significant for us to push people back. The other, you can see some of the lines, the tunnel that they're going to convert to some barrel storage. They're going to relocate an existing covered storage. There's some of the lines here. I know it's kind of a small drawing, but the other one here is the brown line, which is this is the sewer line that they're going to be running out to the highway, which will connect to the county sewer line. They're currently working with DEM to get that finalized. The other thing too, and I will show a better map, but we see the public access trail kind of takes you around and then down to the point. Here's a grading plan to kind of give you an idea of how they're going to address that large soil removal and to get those new parking lots in. It's kind of a steep slope, so they're going to end up terracing out and taking some of that material and terracing to create the parking area, and then the adequate area to put in any underground lines that are necessary in this area. So I just wanted to kind of show that grading plan. This is really the majority of the grading on site. So everything's going to be Malca of the structure. Here's a site plan of the first floor. So we can see that they obviously have to do some conversion to do the to support the microdistillery, the restaurant, the bar, things like that. But these again are all interior improvements, so not necessarily outside of SMA. And then the second floor, we see the dining room, the bar, and then they have some offices, bathrooms, things like that. But again, all interior improvements, no changes to the footprint of the structure. Here's a shoreline public access. I've actually been down to this access point, and it was, I think, mistakenly said that this has been closed. That's not the case. This has always been open and has been accessible, clear, and kept up. Actually, the applicant has done that on their own to keep that up. What we're moving to is recording this easement permanent for in perpetuity. So the applicant is now pretty close to finalizing. They've worked with our easement specialist at the planning department and with Corp Counsel to get this moving towards the BOC and get that finalized. So we're pretty close to getting that done, but it is open now. You can easily go down there. And this is for access to fishing. And I actually talked about, viewing. You can actually go down. It has a nice view of the bay, but it's not really for shoreline access. It's actually not really that safe. And I'll show a picture here. But the idea is that it takes you down to that nice point where you can do fishing. And so that's wide open. And in fact, there's parking. So it's kind of rare to have a nice coastal access that has plenty of parking. So as you see the map down here, I know it shows it kind of making people walk up, but that's not the intent. The intent is that they'd come up on parcel 2 and then walk down the hill following that path to the point. The applicant's going to put signage. So, and then maintenance is still being rectified right now, what that means. But here's a kind of a couple shots you can see on this picture on the right. It's wide open, grassy, very easily. And then there's some steps through a gate. It takes you kind of down to the point. So a pretty standard, simple access point. So here's the shoreline. So I scrambled down. I'm kind of hanging off the wall to take the picture, just to kind of show everybody that it's really, there's not much to get down to right in this area. So there would be no direct shoreline access, but it's shoreline access for fishing and for viewing. And you can see some of the old remnants of the mill structure and the seawalls here. This is the area that they're going to do the safety fencing. So this is an old remnant from the mill. So remember that this was a large sugar mill with a myriad of development throughout large concrete structures. And this is the seawall. Now, this seawall has been in place for over 100 years. It survived tsunamis, and it's not really fair to equate it to the undeveloped and unconsolidated Hamakua Coast. For those of you who don't know me, I have worked for DLNR for 8 years at the Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands before I came here. So I've been doing coastal zone management, and my backgrounds are in geology and geomorphology. So I know the shorelines intimately. And I can tell you this is one of the strongest seawalls that I've seen in a long time because it was designed to support the mill structure. So it's almost over designed. And that's why the only maintenance really that's required is to keep pulling the stuff that grows out of it. That's really it. There's no rock work that needs to be done. So here's a shot of that seawall, and you can see some of the drainage area and stuff. And these are the vegetation pieces that they, keep to remove to make sure that the wall doesn't get impacted. And then you can see some of the fencing along the top that's similar to what the safety fencing will be in place. So something simple just to make sure people don't, fall over the cliff. Here's a shot of the tunnel. So this is one of the historic structures, but will be used by the applicant for storage of their barrels. So I just kind of wanted to show you that. Here's the view of the property entrance. So this is you driving north along the Hawaii Belt Road, and you can see the entrance on the right here at the end of a long right-hand turn lane. Here's a close-up of the entrance, so the right-hand turn lane. And then you have that the lane that enters into the highway is not there. There's some runway there, and then of course you go underneath the flume and then down the road into the Waianaku Center. So this is again looking north, but right at the entrance. Here's a shot looking south, so you can see the left-hand turn lane, and then turning into the property entrance on the left. And so 2 lanes road, but then there is a left-hand slow down turn lane there. That is a yield, it's not a stop. So at this time, I'd like to present the director's recommendation is approval with stated conditions for PL SMA 2022-000025. I could take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Alex. I think we'll hold off on questions until next time. So at this time, let's call up the applicant. If you could please raise your right hand. I swear you in first. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Please state your name and the area you reside in, and you may begin.
My name is Na'ihalani Breland, and I reside in Kailua Kona.
Go ahead.
Okay. First, thank you guys for having me today. I appreciate your time. Alex, thank you for that very thorough presentation. I think what I'll do now is, because you went over everything pretty thoroughly, I'd like to just talk a little bit about Ola Brew and who we are. My name is Na'ihalani Breland. I'm the president and co-founder of Ola Brew. Our mission has always been to support the growth of Hawaii's agricultural economy, and we do that by sourcing our ingredients from local farmers and adding them into our beverages, now also adding them and utilizing them in our kitchens. This project that we have that we're looking to approve is no different from that. Since opening in December of 2017 in Kailua Kona, we've sourced and purchased over more than $1.6 million of local ag from our local farmers here on Hawaii Island, as well as Molokai, Oahu, Kauai, and Maui. By reviving the okolehau industry in Hawaii, we'll be able to create a foundation for tea to actually become one of the largest commodities in Hawaii and one of the most profitable agricultural commodities in Hawaii. Our continued goal is to create more regenerative and sustainable agriculture. And that also continues to highlight and support Hawaii and our Hawaii people. An example of that is actually our farm that's a 1.5 miles down the road from Waianaku at Pauka'a. We've started growing that out with tea for the Okolehau project. Our distillery project at Waianaku has the potential to bring new livable wage jobs that could open up new interests and career opportunities seated in the true essence of made in Hawaii and grown in Hawaii for our Hawaii community. When we closed on this property last February, the goal for us was to open up the property and the project to the community. Therefore, celebrating our lahui, our aina, and the many, many years of operations that this property already had with the Hilo sugar mill. So our goal was to bring it back to industrial ag and industrial processing of ag. It just needed a little facelift. So excuse me, as you've seen through the SMA application and all the information given today by Alex, we're prepared to follow all county, state, and federal guidelines and all departments, and to be able to bring this project to fruition. So again, I really appreciate you all today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. I think again, we'll wait for the questions until next time. So sorry about that. But Director Kern?
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't have any questions for you. Thank you for the presentation. I want to apologize to the Planning Commission for the technical difficulty that's caused for us not to be able to complete this application, as well as apologize to you. We're sincerely sorry about that. We do have a representative from the Department of Environmental Management here that's been waiting, and I'm curious, maybe we can have him come up and he can share any thoughts, anything. So hopefully maybe on the next one, he doesn't need to be here, or we can give him a Zoom link. Thank you.
Okay, DEM. Okay, I will need to swear you in first. If you raise your right hand, you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission.
I do.
Okay, please state your name,
Chris.
and then go ahead.
Chris Laude, Laude, and I'm Civil Engineer 5 with the Wastewater Division of Department of Environmental Management. So what would you like to know?
So in this case, because we're not going to be able to do this whole Q&A, is there anything that you could share? Obviously, it seems pretty straightforward, but from a DEM side of it, you see any issues?
No, in fact, we had a sewer trunk line planned for the area to go up to where Ola Brewery is. That was designed, I think, in the 70s. It was designed, permitted, funded, but then during construction, it was truncated at the stream just before Ola Brewery. So if we had that trunk line, then we could plan on connecting the residential areas pretty much all the way up to Honolulu and then up Mauka from there. And we can't because it's not there. So we're really excited to work with the Ola Brewery team. They're really approachable. They're flexible. We don't have a full plan yet of what they are going to construct, but we've done some sensitivity analysis, and regardless of what they choose, the wastewater treatment plant, even though it's maligned, is capable of handling whatever flow they give us for this first phase.
Okay, thank you. I guess we could do a question and A for DEM, if you guys have any.
Oh, and I apologize for my directors. They couldn't be here, and my chief, Dora Beck, could not as well. So you got me.
Okay, seeing none. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Okay. We'll take a quick recess so that Commissioner Cross can come in and. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. This So based off of the fact that we did not receive the background and recommendation reports, would like to push this agenda item to the next Windward Planning Commission hearing. Can I get a motion to support that?
I'll move to support that.
Okay. Motion by Vice Chair Daniele. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Perrin. Any discussion? If not, I think all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Okay, we'll move it to the next Windward Planning Commission. Thank you. So a quick 5-minute recess, and then we'll come back to agenda item number 3. Planning Commission back from recess. Next agenda item is Ke Aloha Lani LLC, formerly Hawaii Brewing Development Company, Inc. PL-SPP-2022-000031. Application for an amendment to condition number 4 of special permit number 842 for a 5-year time extension to construct and occupy on one lot and a 10-year time extension to construct and occupy the remaining lots. Special permit number 842 was approved in 1993 to allow the establishment of a brewery, water, and soft drink bottling facility and related improvements on a 14.5 acres of land, including the subject parcels, which total 7.829 acres of land, situated within the State Land Use Agricultural District. The subject properties are located on Shipman Road, east of Highway 11, Volcano Highway, west of Railroad Avenue, and north of Highway 130, Keaupahoa Highway. Located in Keau, Puna, Hawaii, TMK 31-6-141, parcels 24, 27, and 28. At this time, I do not see any testimony in person. Is there anything on Zoom, Janice?
No, we don't have any testifiers on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will then move on to staff presentation. Go ahead, Christian.
Thank you. Just real quick, Janice, can you confirm that you see the slideshow?
Yes, we're good on the Zoom end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair Lynn, members of the Windward Planning Commission. Good morning. As the chair stated, this is an amendment to special permit number 842. Here is the location map. The subject properties are located in the Puna district of Hawaii Island, more specifically in the Keau area, Makai of Highway 11. The applicant is requesting amendment to condition number 4 of special permit number 842 for a 5-year time extension to construct and occupy on one lot and a 10-year time extension to construct and occupy the remaining 2 lots. Special permit number 842 was approved in 1993 to allow the establishment of a brewery, water and soft drink bottling facility, and related improvements on 14.5 acres of land, including the 3 subject parcels, which total 7.829 acres. Situated in the State Land Use Agricultural District, the permit was later amended to also allow a distillery use. The requested amendment would allow the applicant until October 18th, 2028 to complete construction and obtain a certificate of occupancy on one of the lots, and until October 18th, 2033 to develop and obtain certificate of occupancy on the remaining 2 lots. The stated reasons for the request is, since acquiring parcels 24 and 27 in 2021, the applicants have diligently worked securing the necessary permits to develop a water bottling facility on parcel 24 with the intent of moving its existing water bottling facility from Hilo closer to the source of the water proximate to the project site. The applicant anticipates construction to be complete within 18 to 24 months, which will not meet the October 2023 deadline to construct and occupy on parcel 24, thus requiring the time extension. Additionally, while the applicant and Bender Consulting, who is the owner of parcel 28, are considering options to construct beverage-related facilities, for example, a brewery or distillery, as permitted by the special permit, neither owner has any firm plans or specific development timetable to complete the project. Thus, they are requesting the flexibility of a 10-year time extension to develop and occupy on the remaining 2 lots. Here is the zoning map for the subject properties and surrounding area. Again, for reference, we've got Highway 11, Volcano Road, running generally on the left-hand side of the slide here. The subject properties are outlined in red here. The subject properties are zoned family agricultural 2 acres, as indicated by the teal color. Surrounding zoning includes industrial zoning, general industrial, 20,000 square feet here indicated in gray, which is the site of a solar array and was the subject of an amendment to that zoning district last year, for those of you who are on the commission at that point. Other zoning in the area is agricultural 5 acres. This was part of the original 14.5 acres which is the Ag 5 zoning here, and this is the location of the Hawaiian Springs water bottling facility. Other zoning in the area across the highways, commercial, industrial, mixed use. The state land use designation for the subject properties is agricultural, as indicated in the green color. The industrial zoning area to the north is also urban, as well as urban indicated in the red color across the highway. The general plan land use pattern allocation guide map designates the subject properties as medium density urban. Other designations in the area are low density urban, important agricultural lands, extensive agriculture, and industrial, as well as some conservation along the highway and urban expansion across the highway to the west. Here is the applicant's proposed site plan for parcel 24, which is the parcel closest to the highway, showing the proposed bottling facility, parking, and related improvements. Also, the applicant has secured a well permit for a well on parcel 27, which in the near term will help support water for the facility. In addition, the applicant is proposing another well permit on parcel 24. And once that is approved and developed, then both wells will support the facility. Here is an aerial photograph of the subject parcels. Again, for reference, we've got the highway running here on the left-hand side of the screen. As you can see, there are other industrial type uses, most of which were approved by special permit in the area. This is, again, the Hawaiian Springs water bottling facility here, solar array in support of those projects. Again, the subject parcels are outlined in red here. You can see here is the location of the shed that's covering the well that was developed on parcel 27. Here are some views of the roadways within the project area. View of Shipman Road looking Mauka. Subject parcels are on the left-hand side, and a view of the roadway looking Mackay. Again, subject parcels are on the right-hand side, and the solar array that I mentioned here is on the left. Here's a view into parcel 24 from the roadway, and a view into parcel 27 from the roadway, again showing the location of the shed that's covering the water well. Couldn't get a very good view of parcel 28 as it's behind these and undeveloped. The planning director is recommending approval of the amendment request with conditions. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Christian. Any questions for staff? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the applicant and the applicant's representative. Okay. Yes, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and who you represent, and you may go ahead.
Sure. Good morning, Madam Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Sidney Fukia. I'm a planning consultant, and I'm here assisting the applicant, Kealoha Lani Inc. And with me today is the Vice President of Operations, Kyle Lemmer, sitting over there. Your staff has always give a very comprehensive report, kind of like makes me shame because like I don't know what else to say. But we've had a chance to review the proposed conditions and the background report and found them to be acceptable. Since again, the staff has provided most of the information, maybe I just kind of want to provide some history behind the whole project, but behind this whole development in this particular area. So it was actually started by this guy named Marcus Bender, and his company, he had several different company names, but when they first developed it, Mr. Bender started, if you you're too young, Dennis, but I think if you remember Brew Moon, it was in the Kaka'ako area in Honolulu. So he started a restaurant brewery. And then subsequently he went into the water business. So he founded or co-founded the Hawaiian Springs in this particular area. He purchased the property, found out that the artesian well is great. So that's where the first bottling plant operation came about. And in the meantime, he kind of expanded his so-called interest in a different kind of beverage product. He went to Vietnam and started the Kai vodka. So from bottling to brew it to distill, he covers the whole gamut. So his vision was to see like this particular area, because of the like great water source, to have like a so-called like a beverage community. So he had special permit approved and all that stuff. And in the meantime, over time, he's getting older, and he said like, I cannot do it every day. I'm kind of tired. So along came Kealohalani. So they bought the three parcels. They're currently Kealohalani. They now produce this water bottle. It's called Waikea. The water comes from one of the operating wells on the property. The other well is for the Hawaiian Springs. And then there's another well that's adjacent, to where they want to construct the their first warehouse bottling facility. Like there's a well over there, operating well, permitted well. So what they're doing right now is they're hauling the water and bringing it down to the bottling plant, which is located on Kalanikoa Street, near the swimming pool, Irikanakole, particularly right in that area. So that's where the bottling facility is. And obviously it's not a very efficient operation. So what they want to do is kind of like construct their own bottling plant over there and harvest the water right next to it, and becomes much more efficient. They do have plans to drill for another well on the subject, on the site where the proposed bottling plant is going to be. So they had a permit for that, but it was since expired. So they're kind of trying to renew that. But that's kind of in a nutshell, the overall background of the project. And again, Mr. Lemmer and myself are here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Fouquet. I guess my question would be, it's been taking a long time for this, and several time extensions have already been requested. As far as I understand, this approval or this recommendation has no further time extensions.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because actually, like, they're ready to get started on the first building, and consistent with the last time extension, but they know that they were not going to be able to complete and operate it by March of this year. So obviously they had to apply for an extension. So they have the plans prepared, they're ready to submit for building permit. They already have the grading permit issued. So with this approval, then, hopeful approval, then their goal is to kind of like start the construction and relocate their bottling facility to the subject site.
Thank you. Questions, comments, commissioners? I just have a comment, just I respect business, but the idea of extracting our natural resources and bottling it and selling it, either through Hawaiian Springs or other brands, just doesn't feel right, but it's already operating. So it's just a comment I want to throw out there, because we keep moving towards sustainability and protecting our natural resources, and just seems counterintuitive that we're extracting our natural resources and selling it off. That's just my comment. But if no further questions or comments, motion, anybody?
Chair, I move that the application to amend special permit number 842, docket number 2022-000031 be approved based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
It's been moved by Commissioner Deleuze.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Vice Chair Daniele. Any discussions or comments on the motion? Commissioner Deleuze, you have your mic on? Okay. Okay. Just wanted to confirm. All right. If no discussions or comments, then staff roll call vote, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Deleuze?
Aye.
Vice Chair Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Baylog,
Aye.
Commissioner Cross,
Aye.
Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion carries with 6 aye votes.
Okay, thank you. And our decision will be sent to you in writing. Thank you. All right, moving on to other business here. Planning Director's report. So the SMA report for February and March was distributed via email. Any commissioners have questions regarding that report? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to agenda items for the next meeting. Staff?
Chair Lynn, at this time, we have 3 items for your next agenda.
Including the one that we,
Yes,
Okay,
including
deferred
the one
today.
from today.
okay. Okay, moving on to announcements then. If you aren't already aware that there will be a joint Leeward and Windward Planning Commission meeting on Thursday, April 20th. At 9:30 a.m. on the proposed amendments to Planning Commission Rule 8 and 9. The Windward Planning Commissioners will be participating via Zoom. Or if you're already on the Kona side, you may participate at the Leeward location. But please respond back to the email that I think Maya sent out regarding the Zoom link, because you have to register beforehand to get the Zoom link. With nothing else, the next Windward Planning Commission's monthly meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, March 4th, here in the County Council chambers in Hilo. And the public is able to testify via Zoom if needed. Any other announcements by staff or Director Kern?
No.
Okay. No further business. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll move to adjourn today's meeting.
Okay, moved by Vice Chair Daniele. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Deleuze. All in those favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned at 11:43.